You're live.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the October 24th Board of Selectmen's meeting. Could you join us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Nobody indicated that they had a public comment, so we'll go to approve the warrants.
I'll make a motion to approve payroll warrant 2317 in the amount of $267,158.10.
Second.
Motion, there a second?
Second.
A second. Any discussion? None, all in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent.
I'll make a motion to approve bill warrant 2317 in the amount of $666,128.58, which breaks down to the town of $115,859.87. Water and sewer, $33,002.12. Payroll withholding, $30,954.42. Light bills, $339,523.65. Grants and revolving, $146,788.52.
A motion, a second?
Second.
Is there a motion and a second? Any discussion? None, all in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. Approval of the minutes, August 22nd, 2022, executive session meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve August 22nd, 2022, executive session minutes.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? None, all in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. Monday, August 15th.
I'll make a motion to approve August 15th, 2022, Board of Selectmen meeting minutes.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion? None, all in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. September 12th, meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve September 12th, 2022, Board of Selectmen meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? None, all in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. September 26th, 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve September 26th, 2022, Board of Selectmen meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? None. All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. Appointments of the board. Appointment of Justin Doucette, 21 Sylvan Street, to the position of library page, the library, effective October 25th. Position is 5 to 9 hours per week at $14.25 an hour. And we have the recommendation of the library director and a resume from Justin.
I'll make a motion to appoint Justin Doucette, 21 Sylvan Street of Groveland, to the position of library page, effective October 25th, 2022, for 5 to 9 hours per week at a rate of $14.25 per hour.
Second that.
And a second. Is Justin here? No. Any discussion?
Yes,
Go ahead.
I would just say from his resume and his awards and things that he earned while at the Pentucket High School, he's an impressive candidate, and we're lucky to have him working for our library.
Okay. Anybody else? None. All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. Appointment of William O'Neill, 45 Elm Park, Groveland, to the position of the Finance Board member, effective October 24th. Set appointment through June 30th, 2023.
I'll make a motion to appoint William O'Neill of 45 Elm Park to the position of Finance Board member, effective October 24th, 2022, through June 30th, 2023.
A second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? None, all in favor? 3 in favor, opposed 1, 1 absent. Votes of the board, 2022 warrant for state election, and we have the paperwork from the town clerk. Do we need to, we're not gonna read this whole thing. This lists the offices that are up for election, as well as the ballot questions for our election on November 22nd. And Rebecca, do you, am I right that the in-person voting started today, the early voting?
I believe it actually started over the weekend.
Oh, okay, okay. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2022 warrants for state election.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second, any comments?
Yes, I have a question on it, and that, is that ward letter O or 0? What is that in the top of it? It looks like the letter O, so I'm not sure if that's something the clerk wants there or doesn't want there. At the top of the very, very, very top where it talks about precinct 1 and precinct 2, it says ward O, and I don't know what that is.
I'm not sure, it would be, might be a typo, because you would, before the ward, you would print the ward, whatever ward it is, and precinct 1 and precinct 2, you would write the numbers in, and under that would be the town hall, 183 Main Street. I don't know what the 0 is.
Well, should we table this until we check it? I mean, I'd hate to vote it and approve it and have that be, I don't know what it's supposed to say. Ward O seems odd.
You should vote to make it contingent because it needs to be voted on before November 1st.
Okay. Contingent on Ward O. Being
Yeah,
determined to be what it
Ward
just,
0, Ward 0, precinct 1 and 2.
well, that's not a 0, that's the letter O.
Well,
That's
no,
not a
it looks
0.
like,
That's a capital O. It matches the O in the word 1.
it does. I'm just looking for a, well, anyway, anybody else? Okay, so we got a motion, we have a second. And
So can we make the motion contingent on that Ward O being clarified and corrected if necessary? I don't want to post it like this if that's incorrect.
And I imagine we'll rely on the town administrator to follow up with that.
Do that.
I'll take that friendly amendment.
Thank you.
okay, all in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. Contingent upon the question on the ward. Discussion, possible vote, fiscal year 2024 budget schedule, and we have that paperwork. Hopefully, we can stick with it.
Hopefully. And Mr. Chair, you will see that it is similar to what you've had in the past in terms of your schedule. The only changes is that I had included a couple of joint meetings with the Finance Board. One in particular, which I hope to have on November 21st, which will be where both the boards will be able to outline their goals for the next fiscal year so that we can provide a unified message to the departments when we ask them for their budget requests. The other 2 meetings will be the budget presentation, which I hope to have this year at the end of January, and then another when the superintendent and the business manager for the Pawtucket Regional School will present their budget. I believe that's scheduled in February. So those are technically not solid dates, but as you said, hopefully we can stick to them relatively so that we can move the process along smoothly.
Okay. Any questions for Rebecca on that? Kathy?
I know folks that are sitting here can't see this schedule, but the improvement from a year ago today to now having a town administrator, having somebody this capable and this conscientious and this dedicated in charge. It's obvious in this schedule. She's already started the budget process and already asked for the capital budgets to come in, scheduled joint meetings for the Board of Selectmen to meet with our financial board, scheduled meetings for us to meet with the departments, scheduled at end of January budget presentation. I mean, the transparency and the flow of this is just top notch, top notch. I couldn't be happier. This is really good. I mean, there's never enough money for everything that we want, but a lot of the conflict and controversy in the past couple of years has been over not understanding or not knowing something or not communicating with someone. And we're going to have that communication, that face-to-face, and that transparency and the information, and so too are the people of this town. So I think it's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Nothing. Do we need to vote that, Rebecca?
I
I
would
don't
like
think
to,
so.
I would like to vote this. I think we should vote this. I think we should adopt it.
But as a town administrator said, it's fluid.
It's fluid, but we can adopt it as presented and then allow her to make necessary changes as it goes.
Either way.
Is that a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the schedule as presented and allow the town administrator to make necessary adjustments as the process goes forward.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? None. All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. Municipal vehicle surplus, and we have a list of surplus equipment. Municipal vehicles, a Chevy bucket truck, a Chevy pickup, 2001, Mack dump truck, Ford Explorer SUV, KME Renegade fire pumper, and the estimated value on those are over on the right-hand column in the paperwork.
So we're asking those to be surplus per the policy in place by the Board of Selectmen for values of less than 10,000, and we're asking them to be auctioned off as surplus goods on municipal bid.
Yep, that was, my recollection, 10,000 and under was the limit. Okay, we should vote that. Do we have you and the department heads of the vehicles follow through with that? Is there a motion on that?
I'll make a motion that we approve the surplus for the 1988 Chevy bucket truck, the 2001 Chevy pickup truck, the 1988 Mack dump truck, the 2007 Ford Explorer SUV, and the 1991 KME Renegade fire pumper.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Well, just to point out that each one is valued under 10,000. The 1988 Chevy bucket truck is valued at $5,000. The 2001 Chevrolet pickup is valued at $500. The 1988 Mack dump truck is given a value of $8,000. 2007 Ford Explorer SUV is valued at $1,000, and the 1991 KME Renegade fire pumper is valued at $5,000.
Okay. Any other discussion? None, so we need a motion to have the finance director go through with it, along with the department
We
head.
did, we motioned and seconded,
Yep.
and then I just read the totals.
All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. Pines Recreation Area irrigation well. You know, Rebecca, you were working on that with Highway Superintendent and the Water Department Superintendent, and you have a report on that?
Correct, Mr. Chair. So essentially, at our last meeting with the Recreation Committee, and the chair of the committee is here this evening, Carrie Goodwin, and we were talking collectively about concerns about the conditions of the field currently. Obviously, there was a drought, and that explains a lot of it, but there's also some other underlying issues and some concerns with waiting to figure out what we're going to be doing for irrigation. And I know at our last meeting that we had talked about this, the board went back and forth on whether or not we should explore drafting from the river again, as the Pawtucket Regional School District had done. So I'm still in the process of doing my due diligence and finding out that information. I did make some headway. I talked to the folks over at the Army Corps of Engineers, and their essential main focus is any structures that you put into the water. I followed up with the Water Management Act program. The type of volume that we would be looking to withdraw is not nearly enough to trigger a permit under their umbrella. And then they also told me that I should probably double check with the Conservation Commission and whether or not there's any jurisdictional items that we would need to address. And then I'm finally waiting for a callback from DEP specifically to see whether or not there's any other qualifications or any other requirements that we would need to meet. So I'm still looking into that. But again, based upon the delay in that and some differings of opinions, the Recreation Committee really wanted to go before the Board of Selectmen and raise some concerns about what we will be doing and making sure we're acting in a timely manner so that the fields are up and running for the springtime. And like you said, working with the highway superintendent, we've been exploring a lot of options and digging through a lot of the old files to kind of figure out exactly how things transpired over the years. We found there to be a lot of bids that went out between 2016 to 2018, ranging from drillings of new wells, also new pumps, and there was one actually in 2018 actually calling for drawing from the actual Merrimack River, but there was really no specifications as to how that would all kind of be done. So we went back and tried to sort through the minutes and try and figure out exactly what the board had been talking about and why they were making those decisions. And it's been a very involved process, so we don't necessarily have all of the answers. Maybe some of you might recall the specifics of all of that, but Mr. Carroll's here to talk more about his concerns about potential drafting from the river, and then also about some of the work we've been doing with two of the companies for the drilling, whether or not we try and rectify the situation with the current well and what that could ultimately lead to, or another particular area to drill in order to get a better, more healthier water supply.
Okay, we'll refer to Rennie, and you follow up?
Yeah, so we've gotten,
Should
a
use the
couple of bids
microphone.
as far as,
It's being broadcast. You can just bring it to your thing or whatever. I think, because he's broadcasting us, if we don't
Maybe we'll
speak,
give one to Colin while he's there, in case he needs to speak too.
chuck a mic to Colin.
is it on mute? Is this muted?
Yeah, it's on green. If it's on green, it's on.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as we know.
So we have secured a few quotes as far as getting a well drilled, as well as setting and developing the well for irrigation. I know we talked about drafting from the river. I did do some research. The Clean Water Act's forbid it originally. Then there were towns and cities, you might have heard of, Flint, Michigan, that did it periodically with very limited, if no success at all. We all know the contaminants that are going on in the Merrimack River. I wouldn't make it a viable suggestion for us to irrigate our lawn, our nice pines fields. It just wouldn't, to me, I wouldn't feel safe doing it. But we've looked into the EPA as far as seeing if we can get a permit. We really haven't heard anything back. Army Corps of Engineers, they only really permit what you actually physically put in for, if we were to put a pump or a layman hose in there to draft from the river, that's the only jurisdiction they have. So, we had a really tough summer this year with no irrigation. We spent a lot of money down the pines over years. I know Mark can attest to how many times we've been down there repairing it and upkeeping it. I think we have really good fields down there, and I think this is kind of the only way to continue that process is to drill a well, develop it, and I think this time around, what we also should do, I know we've been looking for the dowsing maps, but I think we should look into potentially doing some test wells. Might cost us another $5,000 or $10,000. I'm looking into prices on that, but that can almost guarantee that wherever we drill the well, we'll have a viable water source for years to come, not just a few. I don't know how long the other wells lasted, but when you do test drilling, you get a much more accurate depiction of how much water is in the aquifer. So we won't be just, going with dowsing sticks and, plotting and plotting where we may get water. This will be a much better depiction of how much water is in the ground there and how long the water will last. So, I mean, that's the most viable solution I can come up with. And that's where we're at.
Any questions for Rennie? Go ahead.
No, I'd like to make a
Jason.
couple statements. If I remember correctly, when Bill Dunn was on the board, they had looked into drafting from the river, and it was gonna cost, what he said, 3 times what it would to put in a well. So you could put in 3 wells for the cost of what it would to set up for drafting from the river. I don't know if you remember that. I remember him saying that. And then the biggest concern I have is with all the notifications about make sure you stay out of the water because of the bacteria levels.
Right.
And you don't always get that notification in a timely manner. It takes time to get that notification out. I wouldn't want to remove some of that bacteria and spray it on the fields. So I think it would be beneficial to move forward with drilling a new well. And that way there we could make sure we have enough water supply to supply the town hall as well as the fields down in the Pines.
Kathy?
Yeah, so I share Rebecca's frustration with, you hear around town that they did do test wells. I cannot find documentation on it. I've looked for minutes. I figured it was back maybe 2017 or 2018, maybe around then, and I didn't see anything. And then I started to think, okay, we probably brought the irrigation up front to the front lawn while Greg LeBrecq was finance director, so that would have been before Denise. So I believe the well probably went in when we were taking the soil out of the River Pines and Greg LeBrecq was here. But I think then the search for the new well went on when Denise was our financial director, but I wasn't on the board. So it's astounding, the lack of records and things like that. So because I would like to make sure that we don't repeat errors that they made. I mean, if I'm understanding, and maybe it's all just rumors that they were thinking of doing it and they never did it. But I share Rebecca's frustration. I looked at minutes, I tried to find things, I couldn't find it. So I would just like to check, I'm not sure how else we can search for this, to see if they already did do test wells, and make sure we don't repeat that.
They were obviously paid for these, so we could possibly look into the accountant side of it.
Then maybe that would be the
And
best thing, yeah.
look for-
Go through the money side, that's
Correct.
probably the best idea.
The only other way I can think of doing it is when did we pay these people to do the
And so-
test wells?
And the second thing is just, again, I'm trying to catch up to speed on this, because the first meeting I heard this spoken of, I thought we were talking about the town well, and it took me 20 minutes to realize we're talking about a well, nothing to do with the
Nothing to
town
do
well.
with the drinking water.
Correct. So it sounds like the well was put in, and there were problems with it from the start.
Correct.
For some reason. So
Correct.
then there was an attempt to try and pull something up, I don't know what it was, and then that made it worse, or something else bad happened.
It fixed it for a little while. Mark can attest to this. There
Okay.
was, the material that they drilled into was like a fine dust
Okay.
in the shale rock,
Yeah,
and it was clogging the screens. So I think
Right.
they raised the screens, Mark, right? Did they bring it up like 50 feet or something like that? Mark knows.
Raise the well up,
Yeah,
I think it was 40 feet.
Right.
42 feet.
and that made it worse.
And then, rock fell down
Yeah.
and we weren't able to ever, that's why we had to go down and try to break it up again, but we never did it, you know.
So my only question would be that if an expert could look at, because we know there is water at that well site. It's just, the well's gotten messed up, right? The well's not dry. A series of unfortunate things happen, and now we
Correct.
just get silt or something. That's my
correct. So I
understanding.
did talk to the person that developed the well. I talked to the driller. There is an option that we could potentially go put the rig that developed it and try and free the pump. So that's what you have to do to either retool the well or to clean out the.
It's like a foreign language to me.
I know. So they basically go back down and re-drill the well on the same hole.
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
So
if-
they have to get the pump out to do that, and like Mark said, the rock and the material fell on top of the well. So if we can't get the well free, it becomes abandoned. You can't use it.
Okay.
Once the pump breaks free, all that steel stays in the ground, and all you do is pump grout in it, and it's the well is abandoned. because there's
Okay.
nothing he can do
But
about it.
there's a possibility,
There's a strong possibility that we could spend almost the same amount of money to drill a new well and end up with an abandoned well.
right, but I mean, there's a possibility the well that we have that has water, we know there's water there, even though there's been a problem.
We've had issues with the well, so as far as how much water is there for our needs is questionable, from what I heard.
Okay, so,
It's questionable. So when the well was originally drilled, and I think Mark either knows this as well, not to put him on the spot again, but when the well was originally drilled and developed, it was drilled and developed for the field only. So that one
Right.
ball field was all the well was
I know,
supposed to take on.
that's all we had down there. I
Right.
get that.
So then when we took on that process of doing town hall, doing the safety building, that tax on the well
right,
dried it up. It didn't have the capacity to aerate all those fields.
okay, but if temporarily we didn't plan on that for the up here, would that help with getting the water for the?
I tried doing that this year, and it wouldn't even turn half the sprinklers on.
No, but I'm saying, in terms of moving forward and trying to either fix or find something else, we have more fields down there.
Right.
I mean, personally, I feel like having a big luxurious front lawn at the town hall is maybe a luxury we can't afford. Maybe that lawn should be repurposed and set aside for, reading groups and yoga places and things like that, and make it into an actively used piece of town instead of an overly large lawn that we have to water when we tell everybody else not to water.
Right.
Looking
not-
forward, it just seems to me, I don't see many town halls that sit on that kind of a, sloping flow of grass. And so if we were to commit to repurpose and just focus on keeping our recreation fields green, that might help in finding something that could handle just the fields, right?
It would be easier.
Yes, that's my word, easier, yes. So I would be in favor of that approach, focusing on a recreation area and separating off the town hall buildings and letting us figure this out up here, because nobody's using that front lawn except to look at it,
Right.
That's
That's totally up to the town.
I know, we
Yeah.
put the seniors in the parking lot with Jersey barricades, make sure, they don't get run down.
We still do their yoga out in the lawn.
I know, but we could put a space in, I'm thinking.
Yes, and
Throwing things down.
ultimately, the big thing is to salvage the well that we have would cost almost the same as a new well, and there's no guarantee. And then to drill a smaller well that would only service the fields down there would cost more or less the same as a larger well that would service up here. And I would be more apt to go for something that would provide more water, so we would be less likely to come into a situation where we're restricted on water and end up in the same situation that we're in now. And I think adding the test sites is very important, because then you find out if the ground is too full of silt, where it would clog the screens, which I can guarantee wasn't done previously.
I don't
And
think
that
it was.
They only went over the dowsing because they didn't even drill in the spot that the dowsing said was the best possible spot. They went in for the well that they added for the utility field.
Mark?
Yeah, so, I wanna say that well was put in like 2000 or 2001 or something like that.
So
Way before I was
Before
here.
you were here, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was, I think, like one of the quick backdoor deals just to keep people happy and keep them quiet. And, but, I mean, what is our plan with the rest of the pines down there behind the playgrounds? Are we gonna have more fields out there at some point? Because we need to build something, instead of just jumping on this, building a well to take care of what we have, we need to look to the future here and,
Correct.
screw ourselves.
Yep.
And, I mean, if we could get that well to go down, that would take care of those two fields, then you could put another well for up here, down there, you know, I mean, my honest opinion, did irrigation for quite a while, and, you're still gonna need, just one more well's not gonna be enough down the road. You're gonna need two more.
Right.
So, I'm just thinking if we're gonna put another baseball field, softball field, lacrosse field.
Well, even the utility field that we have, that well there isn't Yeah.
That's
It's not
gonna
really
be
doing
chunky
its
5
job
years.
there, right? I mean, it's just not, so.
Rennie, on the present well that's down there with the rock in it, can that be fracked, do you think, and break it up?
So in order to frack it, you still have to remove the pump that's there. That's the first step in redeveloping the well, whatever steps you're gonna take, you have to get the pump out of there. I mean, we certainly could look into doing that first, but like Mark said, even if the best case scenario happens, we get that pump freed up, we redevelop that well, and for some miracle, it ends up being much better than it was the first time. You know, we frack it, there's a few other possibilities that we can do. You're still gonna need another well, even for the fields that we have just at the Pines, because even that other well that we have, there's like 3 80-gallon tanks down there in the shed. Those tanks have never even, two of those tanks have never even seen water. So the well down there for that field, and again, that field wasn't done properly either. There's basically tumbleweeds growing there. I know we had a tough summer, but it was all pretty much weeds down there the past couple of years. That's what we've been mowing for the past couple of years on that utility field.
What's the depth of the present well?
They're all right around 500 feet.
Really, that far?
Yeah.
And you anticipate having to go down that far on the next one?
That's what the specs say here. I mean, the well driller and most of all of the quotes that we've gotten have been right around 500 feet, 500, 550.
What do you figure the cost is for the 500 feet?
This quote is actually good until the end of this year. Just to drill it is about $23,175.
And that's not including the piping?
No, that's the casing set at 100 feet. And then to get the pump installed and up and running, about 24,000. So we're under 50,000 to get a new well drilled, a new pump set. There'll be odds and ends because of where the potential for the new site. There'll most likely have to be some connections, cross connections made to the two fields. So there'll be an added cost to that, but it won't be super expensive.
Well, if the present well is 500 feet and it can't do everything, and the second well would be about the same depth.
Correct.
So you figure that with the 2 wells, you should be able to cover everything and including maybe expansion of the fields down there?
The 2 wells we have present,
Yeah. No, with the new well.
with the new well and the proper testing, absolutely. I think that we'd be all set at the Pines if we got a new well doing the baseball field and the softball field, and that's it. Because like I said, the well originally was only designed for that. That's got a 6-inch casing. This new well is designed for an 8-inch casing, which is a
8-inch?
little more volume.
Okay. Question for Colin. Colin, how deep are our town wells, water well?
So that's a great segue into how important it is to pick the right spot and not just drill a random hole somewhere. Because our municipal wells are about 65 feet deep, and we're putting out 400 gallons a minute. You guys are 500 feet deep and can't even water a baseball
You need to
field.
do 30 gallons.
So,
Explain that one, Rennie,
30
will you?
gallons.
Yeah, I
Can
don't
you
get,
explain that one?
That's testing. It
Yeah,
all comes down to testing.
putting it in the right spot.
Right.
It's,
And
You have to do testing. You can't just go eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Well, it's easier if we put the well over here, because then we can plumb everything and it's convenient. You could literally go 60 feet to the left of that and drill down 100 feet and have enough gallon per minute to water whatever you want. That's why you have to do the testing. Proper
And-
testing is pivotal.
And what was the scoop with the testing on the present well that has that
We
problem?
don't have any.
There was never any testing done, you just
As
decided
far
that-
as, we don't have any documentation that there was any testing. I know they did dowsing, so they come out with the dowsing sticks. Not that I'm saying it has no validity, but I've worked on test rigs before. You have to test if you want to find water. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
I-
No one drills wells without testing. It's a
And-
waste of money.
I believe in the dowsers.
Well,
I've seen it work.
they use dowsers, and then the test rigs come out. That's what they do. They go douse. You pay a guy, $1,000 or whatever to go douse, and then everywhere he puts a dot, you basically run a test well. So,
So,
Que-
yeah, so I
question?
thought what Rennie suggested made a lot of sense if the accountant can do a search back. We have blocks of years that we know things were probably happening. If we could take a look, there should be like well companies or something that we paid money to, and that would probably be it, right? Those same kind of companies.
just a guess, but.
Well, no, I
possible.
think he's right.
Yeah.
If we could at least find out the years that it happened, I mean, I could look through the town reports and see, maybe it was reported that we added a well to the Pines Recreation Area,
Anytime you do testing.
we usually report things like that in our
Most
town
recent one,
report. Yeah, so
I don't
right-
remember test wells going in down there.
No,
No.
I'm pretty sure that was.
I'm fairly
just,
confident that didn't happen.
So-
That was a good location,
not for the-
it was easy.
Not for the first well, but I had heard, and again, it's just grapevine, Groveland grapevine, that during the time when Denise was here, they went and tried to find water, and they were not successful. Now, there must be,
Typically on our end, once you drill a test well, it's there. You don't fill it in, you don't pull it out, it's
so
there.
we'd be able to see it,
You'd see it,
and there's nothing there.
you'd see a basometer at the top of the
Okay,
ground.
so maybe this was just all talk, and nothing
I
happened?
mean,
I don't know. Okay,
when we did some well exploration down at the Pines recently on our end,
yes,
I have a map, like an aquifer map that we used to pick our locations for where we did our test wells.
okay.
I can share that with the powers that be. Maybe, we're looking for much more water than you guys would be looking for, so
Right.
there might be a site down there that is already mapped out.
What we could use.
That would be helpful.
And just for the sake of asking the question, baseball fields can't have like the fake turf, right? Like the football fields?
It can,
Oh.
if you have millions of dollars.
Is it
Put
millions?
in.
No, is it
And you
really?
still, and you do, yeah, you do, there's a
It's
lot of
millions,
maintenance.
you
There's
think?
tons of maintenance that goes on with
You
that.
have to water it to keep it cool.
Yeah.
It gets so hot from the sun.
It gets,
so-
oh, okay.
So you're
Do you
still
think-
gonna be,
Not as much water, but you do have to water it more frequently, less water, and there's still maintenance that goes on with turf. It's
Yeah.
expensive upkeep.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I don't know. We just put it in our school. It seems to be not as much lawn mowing going on and not much watering going on and always green.
Yeah. true.
So, I mean, maybe the prices come down.
one other point too is, we replaced all the pipe in the pump on that well down there, I think in 2013 or 2012 or 2013, because it was starting to rot and we were getting, losing pressure, so I'm sure no matter what we do, whether we keep that well or we don't, you're gonna have to replace all that stuff anyways,
Right.
because it's probably all
Yeah,
the
probably
same
needs a new
condition.
pump and all new,
Right, so.
Is that the one that had the filter put in because of the silt?
the
The original
So
well?
that is,
Fine
one other
filter.
good thing is that new filter system that we put in is a really nice one, so we would be able to reuse that, which would save a couple grand anyways.
Yeah.
Rennie, what's the GPM of the present well, the one that failed, and what do you anticipate this next one?
It was, I don't have it with me, but it was right around 30 gallons per minute. So, which is, when you get through with the surface area of that one ball field, was just barely covering that for 2 times a day.
What do you anticipate if you do?
We're hoping to be close to over 100.
Really?
Hoping,
If you get a good vein, you will.
yeah.
Okay.
I think
Test
testing.
well will tell you that.
Yeah, testing that's what I mean. I can sit here and talk about it all I want, but until you do testing and get a good idea of a mechanical test, you don't know.
So
Anybody got any questions for Rennie or?
Well, yeah,
go ahead.
are you looking for us to vote for you to go ahead and get the secret map from Colin and do the testing?
I would think that would be the first step,
Okay.
is do
'Cause
the
I think
testing, see if we have
I
viable.
think we could do that.
I think we have some viable ground there from the dows, from what we thought was dowsed, and no drilling went on where the dowser actually said,
Again, the Chinese, I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. So,
The language of wells.
yeah, so,
We pulled out that whole all that hill, and it was all sand except for the one spot right underneath the bathrooms. We were digging the foundation, and we had straight ledge there. So most likely that's where the good spot is, and we already have conduits run underground for it. And it would be a good location because you got the electricity and you could build a little building right off the back of the bathrooms.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause you're gonna have to
well on the
contain all
map
that stuff.
We had was literally in between where the playground is now and the potential tennis courts, like on that mound.
Yeah.
That was where it was allocated to be prime drilling for a well.
Okay. So would we like to do a vote to allow him to proceed
Yeah,
forward with the
Rebecca,
test well?
Rennie, do we need a vote to proceed?
I think that makes sense.
It'd be nice to have some direction from the board.
Okay.
Love this. So make a motion to approve the test well drilling, is that what it's called? Okay, and then come back to us with whatever you find,
Absolutely.
okay?
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? I think we beat it to death. All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent. Thank you both for coming in.
Thank you.
I think you answered everybody's questions.
You did.
Moving on to town administrator time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have 3 updates. One, to let you know that I'm about ready to wrap up the capital plan. So at our next meeting, since the Board of Selectmen is by default the Capital Improvement Committee, I'd like to add that item to the November 7th agenda so that we can start that conversation. It is a lot of information, the plan that we have put together. It has inventories, it has what we've done as part of our asset evaluation. There's still a lot that needs to be done with that particular plan, but I think it's a lot more comprehensive than in prior years, so I'm excited to get your feedback on that. Then also to let the board know that we received a $191,000 grant for site readiness for feasibility study over at 150 Center Street. So hopefully we'll have more details to share with the board moving forward. And lastly, just to remind everybody that Pumpkin Fest is supposed to be this Wednesday, so hopefully the weather works out. Rain date will be Thursday, but otherwise, if all goes well, it'll be Wednesday from 4:30 to 7:30 here at Town Hall.
Okay? Is that it? Selectmen's time and reports. Mark? Anything? Maybe.
Well, I don't know if this is the right time to bring this up, but seeing how Rennie's still here, yeah. Every time I drive through downtown, I'm looking at those elm trees and they're so overgrown, and knowing we're due for a bad winter. I was wondering if there's any chance we could get those things, checked by an arborist and pruned up properly so that way they don't split in half when we get heavy snow and
Talking about in
elm,
Elm Park.
yeah, all the elm trees. Did,
Anytime you touch those trees, you're gonna have a lot of people calling.
oh, I know, but
Right to the Board of Selectmen.
they're gonna be complaining when the things are all cut down in 2
I
years,
will
so.
put right on my list right now. prune
That's,
trees in Elm Park.
Didn't you have a couple years ago, one of those, 2 of those split?
yeah.
And we had a car that hit one over the summer that's gonna be trimmed back because I feel because it's probably gonna start failing, so it's better to trim it now versus when it starts to die off.
It's just,
But I will definitely, I have already looked into that, just a couple of trees, but I will
no,
have
the,
foresight to do that for,
the reason I'm bringing it up is just because, like, half the things we do in this town, we hurry up and do it, and then we don't have any plan of maintenance, and those trees are choking themselves out, so,
yep. No,
if we
the
could
canopy's overgrown.
yeah, and that's just something that I've just been looking at with all the leaves changing, so.
Good idea. Kathy, you have anything?
Yeah, I love those trees, so be careful with them.
I'm gonna have the urban forestry come down.
Thank you very much.
He's very good at his job.
Thank you. So I just had the opportunity to go to the award ceremony for our police and firefighters who had gone above and beyond the call of duty, and it was pretty amazing to see our hometown heroes. And actually, one of the awards was for a team of firefighters and a police officer who were able to deliver a newborn baby, and the baby was in attendance at the ceremony, an absolutely beautiful baby. It was amazing to realize that the talent and the training and the heroism that we have within our town, and the police officers and firefighters, of course, that attended to that fire that did result in one fatality, but were able to rescue 2 residents off the 2nd floor. Amazing story, amazing feats. Just makes you feel really good to know that these are the people we have looking out for us 24/7, and we often forget about it. We take it for granted. There was that night, that moment with those awards when you had to step back and say, wow, this is pretty impressive. So just thought I'd bring that forward.
Jason?
No, not tonight.
I only got one thing. A week ago Friday, I was at one of the legislative breakfasts put on by the Mass Municipal Association. They do those, they used to do them 3-4 times a year. They've always been very informative. And the Mass Municipal Association just ran through some of the legislation they're looking to follow up on and looking for support. There weren't any of our local legislators there, but there was some from out of town. Again, it only lasted a couple hours, and it was very informative, as usual. And that's all I got. Unfinished business, Board of Selectmen policies and procedures. And we have a list of them, in our packet. Anybody want to start? Kathy?
Anyone? Kathy?
Yeah, naturally.
Sure, why not? So I also had an opportunity to attend a Mass Municipal Association meeting. It was a half-a-day Saturday morning, and as a result of meeting a lot of other elected women officials, the mayor of Gloucester was there, and all willing to share their code of conduct with us if we so choose to look at more examples. But the fact remains that we have a visitor's code of conduct, which honestly I think could be worked on a little bit. We should look at what other towns have. But we don't have a code of conduct for our boards and committees, and I think the Board of Selectmen should be the role model for this. We should simply review what other towns have in place and adopt a code of conduct, and then funnel it forward to our boards and committees. It sets a standard, it sets a civil debate. It sets for people who are new to boards and committees to understand what their role is and how they are to approach other boards or town employees, because you don't always know that as you walk in fresh and new onto a board. And it's important. Our town employees need to know that there's a code of conduct, that people are not going to come into their office from a board or committee and, demand things or be uncivil or anything like that. There should be, it doesn't have to be long, 1.5 pages, I think is all Jason and I wrote the last time we drafted it. And be glad to bring it forward if this board is open to introducing it. I just stopped going forward with it because the board seemed reluctant to finish out this, these policies and procedures. We certainly need to do that.
Anybody else? Jason, you have anything?
No, not at this
Mark?
time.
I don't have anything. We can put that on the agenda. Maybe two meetings out, where we have, we're anticipating maybe a long meeting on the 7th. Well, I should ask that as a question. You were anticipating with what you have,
I think it'll be a little bit longer, just because I have the capital plan
right.
review on there. I don't think it'll be much longer, but it might be a little longer
Put that
than this evening.
two meetings out.
So, Mr. Chairman, would you like just the code of conduct from our draft that you were reading from at our last meeting? But you thought that was our policy already? Because we could provide that, just that section.
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay.
And we can discuss it. See where it goes. Okay.
Sounds good.
Other items not reasonably anticipated. Did you get an application from the Congregational Church?
I know Tracy had dropped off some information, but I have the new application, and he was going to fill that out. I have not received that back
Okay.
yet.
Okay. Do you remember when that was?
I believe it's in November, but I thought he said it was around November 11th or 12th or something.
Okay, so we still get time to act on that in a
Yes.
at a meeting. Okay. Yeah, he called me this morning, but I told him to drop it off. All right, so correspondence, we have none.
Trick or treat night, we usually announce.
Kathy, did you have a
Yeah,
statement?
Mr. Chairman, don't we typically announce the trick or treat night? I mean, we always do it on Halloween, but I know Haverhill does it a different time, so each year we usually say,
Yeah, I don't know. Do you have any information on that from, usually it comes from the police department?
So we did just make a post online and reiterated that Monday, October 31st, from 5:30 PM to 7:30 PM, Groveland will be recognizing trick or treat.
Okay.
We have to go buy candy.
Okay, nothing in correspondence. We entertain a motion for adjournment.
make a motion to adjourn at 7:22 PM.
Motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Ma- Mark will second that. Any further discussion? None? All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 absent.
She sent you the picture I sent, right? Did you send it?
Notice I waited.